Benji and welcome to Dice vs Cards. Today we're looking at Unfair, where the F is very much silent. A 2 to 5 player competitive set collection game where you're looking to build the biggest, boldest, wildest ride you can imagine. That also has elements of card drafting because you need to pick the right cards for you at the right time. Now you play as theme park owners looking to construct the hottest new ticket in town. Now, whilst you're going to be focusing on your own efforts, the game practically encourages you to engage in industrial sabotage against your opponents. But you make sure you keep your eye on the prize and you'll end up creating the greatest theme park the world has ever seen. So step right up, folks, and let's see how this plays and whether this could be the next game for you. So the object of the game is to be the player with the most points at the end of 8 rounds of play. To set up the game, each player will need to pick a theme deck from the box, and each theme deck is going to contribute all the different card types that will make up the game state. Now, so you'll need to shuffle and sort all the cards into an event deck, a blueprint deck and a park deck. Now the city deck is somewhat different in that the bottom 4 cards should be these unfair city cards in red, and above those 4 cards you'll place the public notice card, and the top 4 cards of that deck will then be the funfair city cards in blue. Now these 8 cards effectively represent the 8 rounds of play in the game. Each player will then be drawn 5 park cards, and they can choose to discard and draw another 5 cards until they get at least 1 attraction card, the keyword of which can be found under the name of the card. Each player will also need to start the game with a main gate card, a lone card and a double-sided round and scoring summary card. Each player will also start with 20 coins. You'll then need to populate the marketplace by drawing the top 6 cards of the park deck and then dealing 2 showcase cards to each player, and they'll remain secret face down and act as super duper rides that can be built throughout the game. Now each round is broken down into 4 phases or steps, the first of which is the event step. Now after you've randomly selected the first player for the first round, each player will draw 1 event card from the event deck and place it in their hand. You'll then play the top card in the city deck, and these cards act as global events that will affect all players throughout the round. So you'll just read and follow the instructions on the card accordingly. Then, starting with the first player, and rotating around the table clockwise, each player will have the opportunity to play event cards from their hand. Now most event cards tend to be broken down into 2 abilities. The topmost ability generally has a positive effect on your own theme park, and the bottom ability enables you to hinder your opponent's theme parks in some way, shape or form, but they can also act as barriers for your opponents when they try to use those types of abilities on you. So it would be too much to go through what each ability does. Suffice to say, the text on the card should be self-explanatory once we teach you the rest of the game. Now, play will continue like this around the table until each player has passed consecutively, and that will end the event step. Next up is the park step, and this is where the bulk of the action takes place. So starting with the first player, each player is going to take 1 action and pass around to the player to their left. And you're going to rinse and repeat that process until each player has taken 3 actions. Now the list of actions each player can take are as follows. You can build a card, and you can do that by taking 1 of the marketplace cards or doing similarly with a park card from your hand. But before you do that, you have to pay its build cost, which can be found in the top right hand corner. Now once you pay its cost, you'll pay it in your theme park either to the left or the right of the main gate, dependent on what card type it is. So the core of each theme park is the attractions. So attraction cards are placed to the right of the main gate, and
blah 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 blah.
You can take a card either from the marketplace and place it in your hand, or you can draw either 2 event cards, blueprint cards or park cards, and then choose one of them, discarding the other. Now the only card type we haven't seen so far are these blueprint cards, and they act as objective cards, generally with 2 options, one a mandatory at the top and one an optional at the bottom. However, if you're unable to complete the objective come the end of the game, each uncompleted blueprint card will be worth minus 10 points, so be very careful in which ones that you pick. You can also discard a card from your hand to draw 5 park cards, and similarly with the picking of 2, you only get to keep 1 of them. You can demolish or dismiss a card. Now that can be any card that you built in your theme park. However, if you demolish an attraction, any upgrades that were built with it also go away. Now you might want to do that to make way for another attraction because you've achieved your limit of 5 attractions, or by any other means that you need to fulfill an objective or some such. And the last thing you can do is you can pick up loose change. Now if you're short on coins, you can gain a number of coins equal to the number of attractions you've built in your theme park. At some point during the game you may be strapped for cash, so you can take out a loan, and here you can gain 5 coins but get minus 10 points at the end of the game, and you can do that a maximum of 4 times at any time that you want. We then move to the guest step, which acts as the scoring step, and each player is going to get a number of coins equal to the stars in the top right hand corner of each park card they built in their theme park.
Blah 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 blah.
We then move to the cleanup step, and this is where you'll flip face up any face down attraction cards. Now this might have happened if your opponent managed to close one of your attractions, and you'll flip it face down for the end of the round, because during the guest step that will no longer contribute its stars, including those on any upgrades on the attraction. You'll then clear and refill the marketplace, and then discard cards down to meet the maximum hand limit of 5 cards. You'll then advance the first player marker to the next player. The play will rinse and repeat like that until you've played all 8 city cards and therefore completed all 8 rounds. Now to score up, you're going to total the number of icons found individually on each attraction, and this is where you'll reference the scoring summary card, because you'll get a number of points equal to the number of icons individually on each attraction. You'll also get points for any completed blueprints. Remember, if you fail to achieve these, you'll get minus 10 points. You'll also get negative points for any loans that you may have taken out. You'll also score 1 point for every 2 coins you have at the end of the game. And then there'll be certain other cards like staff member cards that will give you points. Now the player with the most points is the winner. So that's how this game plays. What did I think of it? So who is this game for? Well, it's a medium weight game, and as we bring Benji Obvious into the fray, if you love theme parks, then this allows you to construct a big, massive, amazing, winning theme park. And then we bring Benji Repeats Himself back into the fold. So if you like card drafting, take that, set collection, tableau building, then there's going to be something here for you. You might also consider this if you liked Terraforming Mars, published by Frick Games and Stronghold Games, because that shares some similar mechanics, albeit you're playing on a communal board in that one. Or Villages of Valeria, published by Daily Magic Games, because that shares a very similar vibe of tableau city building to this. So in terms of gameplay, well, they managed to cram a hell of a lot of mechanics into this medium weight title, and that makes for some ambitious plans indeed. And I'm pleased to say that both from a design and an execution perspective, they by and large managed to tie everything together very nicely here. Now this is a game that rewards making the most of all those micro decisions, be it taking a card from the marketplace to build immediately, or holding on to it to synergise with your game plan as you play through, to drawing multiple cards when you choose the action to take park or event cards, but only get to pick one of those. Those decisions will ultimately mean the difference between an average score or an exceptionally high score come the end of the game. And the event cards have an elegant design where you've got one of 2 options. One is to pursue your own agenda and upgrade your own theme park, and that's where Peace on Earth Benji comes to the fore. He plays a lot of games with his family, and he knows that any other way of playing will ultimately just end in tears. Or you can take the figurative wrecking ball to your opponent's plans, and this is where Vicious Benji, who plays with his mates, gets his go. Now, the fact that you've got those two choices and different ways to play will only add to the flavour. But the game changer cards that add play variants to the game will allow you to eliminate certain parts that you don't like. So if you're not a fan of Take That in games, you can declare peace on earth and just play, pursuing your own game plans. Now, that's not to say there's not some negatives here. Now, some great ideas generally come with unfortunate byproducts. So having all these different theme decks is great, but unfortunately it does add a little bit of time to set up and take down. And also the pacing, well, you're having one of 3 actions on each round and then passing. You're doing a lot of passing in this game, so that invariably does slow down pacing a little bit. Now, before I reveal any more of my multiple split personalities, let's talk about the look and feel and theme of the game. So as you'll probably expect, that theme is really to the forefront here, be it in the rulebook where they've not missed any opportunity to try and immerse you into that, to the beautiful art style and well-made cardstock and all the flavour text that can be found throughout. It really does put you and the other players in that headspace of theme park owners. Now, as I've just alluded to, the production quality is really well done across the board, and that almost as you'd now expect. With all that being said, Dice vs Cards are going to give a final score of 8 out of 10 to this wonderful and fun with a not so silent F game. So that's it from me. I'll see you next time.